11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. What a fight! I think the runner won it.
Juan, the Hispanic causing panic, Lascano.
What's going on, everybody? Went a little old school with the intro. Calix in the building. Wednesday show. It is what it is. We got a new look. Look at this. I just put it out there. You know what I mean? For my effort, give me that damn like. Where's Juan? Remember that Juan guy that wouldn't give me a like? Do you think I ever got that like? By the way, after all this effort, after all these hours, after everything, did he give me that Juan like? We'll never know. You know what I mean? We'll never know. By the way, who's down with HCP, Calix?
Everybody.
Every last body. Hit my like button, guys. We have a lot to talk about. HCP of the week, very simple. It's unanimous. No need for a poll or anything this week. I'll see if I put another poll about another question later on. But as of right now, Subrel Matias nominated by Sonteo Mira. Give him a follow on Twitter, by the way. Great channel and great follow on Twitter as well. MC Causin, I Causin, that's 3. I think Calix, I think you Causin. Subrel Matias out of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico got a champ now in a very, interesting weight class, 140 pounds. What you make of this dude, bro? I mean, he's got 2 hammers on both fists. You don't stop,
I love him. Real threat at 140. Real dude in a real division. Like a real dude in a real division, right? He symbolizes what 140 is, right? It's a rough, rugged division with killers. It's a Shark Tank, and he's one of those dudes. He fits right in, and he may be the alpha of the alphas. We'll see over time. But I'm watching him fight. It's good to have Puerto Rican champs always, right? You need Puerto Rican champs. You want that Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry to be good and healthy at the top. Now Puerto Rico has 2 champions, 2 legit champions in boxing. Matias joins that, and he's a beast, man. Like this dude is going to be a handful for people to deal with. Ponce was like he was like, people were talking about this fight as a fight of the year candidate type fight, right? We were still giving Matias. We still thought Matias would win the fight, right? And even by stoppage, right? But the way he did it and how quickly and effectively he did it. That's what it was. And he had writers, journalists, boxing fans alike calling him the boogeyman of the division. And Regis Prograis was the boogeyman of the division, or still is. But we got a real battle there for a boogeyman at 140. The only boogeyman that we recognize in South Louisiana is the Rougarou. The Rougarou is a real thing down here. Half man, half werewolf. It roams around the Honey Island swamp. Regis Prograis is the Rougarou.
But he should have dressed up as
Matias is right there, D-Style. Like this is a threat. He is a threat. He's a real dude. He's a real one.
I have a question about that for you in a little bit, but first, let me give a shout out to the chat. We got El Chido, Puerto Rican Rum, Jesus M says saludos, Andre Rodriguez. You see, guys, I could roll the R and everything. You know what I mean? I'm just putting that out there. Mad Dog H in the building. How's it going? DJ Mexicano de Texas. He says, D-Style, how's it going, brother? HCP is war. Absolutely, Mad Dog. No doubt about that. Puerto Rican run with that Puerto Rican flag representing Subrel Matias, the HCP of the week. No doubt about it. Boxing, pound for pound, Jack. There's only one Tommy Fury. True Media Today, USA Boxing. He says, peace to my brother D-Style. Shout out to you. And look, I was hearing he was talking about how when he started YouTube, he was going to talk politics and religion, but he was like, you know what? That's too crazy. I'm just going to stick to boxing. Well, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? He says, PC style, that 140-pound division is serious for him. Absolutely. Thank you so much for the support. Everybody subscribe to True Media Today Boxing. USA Boxing. Everybody make sure you do that. And shout out to everyone in the chat. Tu Matador, Shoeshine, Haplotype, says HCP. Absolutely. Earl Stevens, how's it going? Check this out. Suprema, first of all, I was watching a fight. I don't know if you got the same sense I got. So he's a fighter usually known for being reckless, just trading and just going for it, right? The Argentine fighter comes out strong. He comes out like let's go, right? And Subriel Matias surprised me a little bit. He stayed patient, took his time. He had his guard up, right? With the gloves, he was blocking the headshots. With the elbows, he was blocking the body shots. And he still got hit, of course, but for the most part, he was almost letting Ponce he's like, okay, let me see what you got. Like in Dragon Ball, when they're just like, okay, when Goku's like, okay, show me what you got, and that's what he did. He was doing the scouter, right? Well, what you got? And once he figured out, well, you don't got enough for me, son. I think that's what he figured out after round one. And I saw a fighter that was calm under the storm. Okay, that's what I saw. He was calm in the storm, not under the storm, but nonetheless, I don't know much about storms. I live in El Paso. Okay, give me a break. But okay, like in the storm, he was calm under that pressure. He didn't falter. He didn't panic. And then somewhere around the middle of the second, he took over. You know what I mean? He took over that fight. And then it became a one-sided fight. I don't know if you saw the same thing I saw. I saw people saying, oh, Subriel Matias is getting beat up. Oh, Subriel Matias, he looks overwhelmed. I didn't see that. I saw a fight that knew Calix. I got 12 rounds here. This is a 12-round championship fight. Okay? He wants to unload on me in the first. No problem. You know what I mean? And I think he wanted to feel – because even when you block those shots, you can kind of feel what your opponent has, And another thing he did, I think he strategically gave Ponce confidence, right? He started to back up, and Ponce was like, okay, I could back you up, big dog. Let's go. I'm beating you at your own game is that's what he thought. But I think from there, Subriel Matias took over somewhere in the middle of the second round, and then he started to unload on him, to be honest with you. And I think there was just too much power on both hands. He's got bricks on both hands. He's got egg weights. We got to check his gloves for egg weights. I'm saying. Yeah,
Haplo's right. Haplo's right that Ponce early in that fight, first, second round, would have given a lot of guys a lot of issues. Matias not being one of them, and why? He showed experience. He showed poise. And who else does what you just said? Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford will lure guys in purposely. He will get hit on Golovkin used to do that. People mistake these guys as not being defensive fighters. It's not that. These are skilled layered fighters. They're capable of doing other things, but they'd rather lure you into a brawl, and then they're going to go to work. And that's what Matias.
I mean, why not Zepeda against Subriel Matias? I mean, because there's only one way Zepeda fights. You know what I mean?
Are we talking William Zepeda?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, will William Zepeda, will he settle in at 135, 140? I don't know. I mean,
no one's going to fight him at 135, brother.
Right. I think I agree. Now, the word is he's back in April. He's going to be on that Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia undercard. So that's I don't know who he's going to be fighting in.
Look, I know that. Look, Subriel Matias is going to be a threat. Okay. To anybody because of his punching power. He's always going to be in a fight. I need to see that Regis Progress fight. That's a fight of the year. Waiting to happen.
That's a real fighter's fight, and that's a grown man fight. Like that's a true alpha fight. It's two dudes who nobody. Who the hell wants to fight both those guys? Who the hell wants to fight them?
I don't know.
Right? Those are two guys who are going to be ducked. So what do you do in that situation? You fight each other, correct?
Yeah.
And here's how the situation is going to play out at 140. And 140 is just a stacked deep division of dudes who like to fight, right? And so Jack Catterall, the rumor was Jack Catterall is not going to get the Josh Taylor fight now, right? And many of us believe he beat Josh Taylor last year.
We do.
So he's not going to get the rematch, at least not in the meantime. So they're saying Regis Prograis and Jack Catterall should fight each other. I've been saying that for a while. Fight each other. That's what I hope to see. But from what I'm hearing today, Jack Catterall is being thrown out there. He's got a couple of days to respond for the eliminator to fight Matias. The other guy who has responded, I forget the fella's name, not a well-known fighter, but he is one of the two guys that's up for the eliminator. He's got a couple of days to respond to fight for the eliminator for Matias. He has not responded yet. Why has he not responded yet? The reason is, word is he's in talks with Regis Prograis. So I'm interested to see where Catterall goes from here, and I think the dominoes will fall from there. Will Catterall fight Regis Prograis for a title right now, or will he fight an eliminator to fight for a title against Matias later on in the year? That's the question I have.
No, but the thing is, bro, like if you have a title shot right there, why are you going to fight an eliminator for?
Especially when the guy that you're fighting the eliminator for is just as dangerous as the guy you're going to fight the title for now.
Yeah,
Matias is just, and I like Prograis, but Matias is just as dangerous as Prograis.
In terms of danger, look, I think it's fair to say that Regis could do more things in the ring, right? Mm-hmm. Regis got power. He could crack, he could slug it out, but he could also box, he could move. It's a little different, right? I just don't know if he hits as hard as Matias. Right, he's a power puncher. I just don't know if he's that much of a power puncher. Super Matias' power is scary. It
is, and he sets it up nicely too. Right? It's yeah. People always you and I talked about this in the past. It's people mistake pressure fighters or offensive minded fighters as cavemen sometimes. Right? Not layered. Right. But this guy, he's got layers to his game, and he'll figure out ways to knock you out.
I explained what he did against Ponce, how he kind of lured him into his type of fight. Gave him the confidence, gave up the round. We always talk about, he's downloading data. He's gave away a round. Like, no, like in this one, he did the appropriate thing. You know, he made sure two things. I'm not going to get caught cold early. That's number one. I'm going to let him unload a little bit. And then it's my turn. Second round is my turn. And that's exactly what happened. And it was strategic, right? Strategy is smart. That's what ring IQ is, right? Strategy plays a role in that. And I think any style, you can have a strategy, and it's about strategy also comes with execution. And that's what he does at the end of the day. You know, so
how I'd like it to play out, though, the picture is at 140 is Catterall decides to fight Prograis. Matias fights the winner later on in the year. And that's a solid year for either one of those fights. Like if Prograis beats Catterall and fights Matias, that's a solid year for a guy we've been saying has been ducked. That's still a solid year. Those are tough fights, both of those fights. And you can't blame Josh Taylor and Teofimo Lopez for doing what they're doing either. That's the big money fight in the division, right? I can't blame Teofimo for fighting Josh Taylor instead of Prograis. Can't blame him for doing that. It's the bigger fight. And it's still, Josh Taylor is still the number one guy in the division. He is. Yeah, I really can't. Like, I want Jack Catterall to get the shot because I felt like he won last year, but I feel like that fight was snake bit in the rematch. And I can't blame Josh Taylor for saying, I'm going to go fight Teofimo. It's a bigger fight. I can't blame him.
No, that's a good point. Look, a couple of things that happened this weekend. Our boy, Makabu, you know what I mean? He lost. He took an L, you know what I mean? He got knocked out of the 12th. Did you expect Battle Jack to get that win? Because I knew it was possible. Look, and I just want to dispel a myth that's being put out there. So that's because people do revisionist history for whatever reason, right? Now, I can't speak for anybody, but I'm going to speak for myself, and Calix can confirm for himself or speak for himself. But when the Makabu fight with Canelo was first proposed, okay, it was done by Reynoso, and it was like the BC said, yeah, sure, you can fight for the WBC belt, no problem, right? Nobody that I know of anyway, Calix, came out and said, oh, Makabu, he's a pound for pound, he's an amazing fighter. If anything, the argument was, look, he's kind of not that big of a cruiserweight, right? He's like an undersized cruiserweight. He's not Bradus, like at the time, right? He's not this big, dangerous guy that's going to rehydrate to like 240 pounds or maybe not 240, like 210. And he's big and skilled and could probably kill Canelo. Like, this is a dangerous fight, a guy that could crack. He's a lot bigger than Canelo. And
he was a top three, 4 cruiserweight.
Yeah. Like, it's a winnable fight for Canelo. So it's just whatever. People have their opinions, but no one ever said he was Makabu the Great or nothing. Nobody ever said that. And whoever said that, just quote that person. Don't say people, or just quote the person that said it. Then, you know, man. That's all I ask. But Badou Jack, though, great performance. Bro, he's big, bro. You see him standing next to Mike Tyson?
He's big.
And you see Mike Tyson, like, can you say his name? Like, why say my name?
And look, Badou Jack, he looked comfortable at cruiserweight, and he looked better than he's looked in a few fights, right? And he's strung together several wins. And on top of that, he's one of those guys that's overachieved. I used to call him, like, back in the day when he was on that run, when he fought Groves, Darrell, Butte, Cleverly. He had a strong string of fights. Yeah. And he was overachieving. He was the underdog. And I started to compare him to a Carl Froch type figure, right? And now he's a legit 3-division champion now. A legit 3-division champion. And he did it in a way that I was not expecting. I thought this would be a close decision fight either way. I lean towards Makabu, and Badou Jack wins. And not only does Badou Jack win, he knocks him down, and then he knocks him out in the 12th round. Yes. This was like that. This was a type of fight for Badou Jack that it's legacy defining, right?
Yes, and it's also what he needed to do. Badou Jack had that Danny Jacobs syndrome that he just wouldn't quite do enough. You know what I mean? But this time he's like, fuck it. You know what I mean? I'm just going to go for the shit.
That's what I loved about it.
Makabu brought it. He showed a lot of heart in the fight and was attacking the body. He landed some uppercuts, and Badou Jack showed I could take this cruiserweight power pretty much. You know what I mean? Yep. We'll see where he goes from there. Now let's talk about the big fight. So this is for a belt, a sanctioning belt. Okay, and the winner was going to get ranked.
You're talking about Jake Paul?
Jake Paul against Tommy Fury. Oh, man, I felt the fear. Let me tell you something. Guys, Calix, you know how many channels were happy for Jake Paul, like on the lead up to all his fights? Like, I just want to do a quick rundown, ladies and gentlemen, of the people that Jake Paul fought. And people were comparing these guys to journeyman boxers. Amazing. An influencer that's a gamer. They were
comparing. Shout out our guy Remy, by the way.
Oh, Remy, what's up? What up, brother? Calix, shout out to you, brother. Thanks for the support. Yes, a journeyman boxer. I don't care if they're 5-100 record-wise, is better than a gamer. Okay, like that never boxed a day in his life. Yes, like, you know what I mean. Like, I'm just saying. A retired basketball player that won dunking contest. I'm sorry, Calix, basketball players can't fight. I'm just putting that out there.
No, they can't. Okay, I was a basketball player. I'm a basketball coach. Basketball players can't fight. They can't.
Okay, but he won a dunking contest. So, like, and you put him in there with a dude that's been doing serious training. But who did Canelo fight in the second fight? Are we really doing this? Like, people were doing this, bro.
Can I step in on that? Can I step in on that first of all? Because
sure,
I always saw that narrative, and it's true, right? I mean, you pad your stats against not so good opposition early on. It happens all the time. Dudes pad their records the first 20 fights, whatever it is. Taxi drivers, Uber drivers, all that stuff. That happens, and they're right about that. But the difference is, the key difference is, you put it behind a pay-per-view paywall. He's on the main event. It becomes a different thing. I don't care how many times you want to say it's not. It's a different thing when you put the added paywall behind it and you put it on a main event. It's a different thing than dudes padding their records early on in their career, buried on undercards. It's a different thing. It's also a different thing. My other issue with it is they want to have their cake and eat it too when guys like Jake Paul. And I have no issue with the exhibition circuit. Don't get me wrong. I don't want people confusing that. I have no problem with that. You want to enjoy it? I'm not ruining anybody's fun. But what I'm telling you is when Jake Paul's out there saying, I want to fight Canelo in 3 years, and people aren't laughing him out the room.
Here's the thing, Alex.
That's my issue. You can't treat him like a prospect. And then when he says he wants to become a real world champ, he wants to be top 40 in the WBC right now, 7-8 fights in, you can't have it both ways. You can't. If you start saying those things, we got to treat it a different way.
Here's the problem that people seem to have, right? First of all, Canelo was a teen. He was like 15 years old when he fought his first, second 2 fights. And he fought him like a month apart. He was fighting every month, okay? Like, the schedule's different. The third guy Canelo fought in his career, the third dude, this is his third fight. He was making his professional debut, Alex, all right? The guy Canelo fought his professional debut. That guy right now is older than Canelo. So that means Canelo was 15 years old fighting an 18-year-old, right? Whoever doesn't think that's significant is one thing, okay? This guy right now has a record of 44-12, okay? That's who Canelo fought in his third fucking fight. You know this dude fought in his third fight as an adult on pay-per-view? Ben Askren. Labeled the worst striker in the history of the UFC. I mean, I'm just saying. And then he fights Woodley. Again, these guys they don't have any. They're debut novices. They never fought in boxing. A stiff wrestler. But you want to compare him to who Canelo was fighting at age 15 for a bag of rice? I mean, like what?
You know what else this highlights is. And look, I understand there's some good strikers in MMA, and I'm not one of those guys that you know me by now. I'm not one of those guys that wants to run. I'm not one of the guys who wants to run the UFC fun either. I'm surrounded by UFC fight fans, and have your fun. I'm not knocking that, but what it proves is he just fought the number 374 ranked BoxRec opponent, number 374 in the division. Not in the world, in the division, not pound for pound, in the division. And he lost, I thought, 6 rounds in the fight. And he knocked out MMA guys, UFC former champions. So what that shows us is these people out there saying Ngannou is going to come in and give Wilder trouble. He could give Fury. No. I've said it before, like Ngannou can't beat anybody in the BoxRec top 100 at heavyweight. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Alex. To make matters worse, like this is what makes it worse. At least Ngannou is a striker. These guys weren't strikers,
right?
That makes it even worse. Like that's. I was hearing people tell me things that like these guys are better than Tommy Fury. Like there's people that actually believe that. Like they believe that this was a bigger challenge than Tommy Fury was. Because they fought in the UFC. Like, this is stupid, bro. So it felt good watching him get outboxed
They even made it to where Tommy Fury was acting like this was the greatest win of all. He was acting like Doug Williams in the Super Bowl commercial, the Disneyland Super Bowl commercial after the Super Bowl, like celebrating the Super Bowl victory as the winning quarterback. He's out there. Dude, Tommy Fury is crying. His wife is showing footage of him walking in the house to balloons and stuff, like he just won the Super, like he just won the World Cup. It's like, dude, you beat Jake Paul. He was a Disney Channel kid. Like, dude, you to me, if you're a boxing guy, you're a boxing dude, you're a boxer, and you beat Jake Paul, you shouldn't be crying. Like, what is this?
He got on his knees and shit. Like, like, what do you mean? He almost turned into a Super Saiyan. How excited he was, bro. What the fuck's going on over here? Like what? What do you mean? People get on Floyd. People get on Floyd because he cried after he beat Gotti, right? Which is kind of like, I'm just saying. But at least Gotti was like a world champion. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm just saying, like, you be like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna stick to this. This fight was a novice just beating a worse novice. That's all it was, bro. Tommy ain't gonna do shit in boxing, bro. Like he's better than Jake Paul. Whoopie-doo. Like that doesn't mean anything to me.
I think he should ride off into the sun, get the rematch. You got to go trilogy, do that, but don't fight anybody after Jake Paul if you're Tommy Fury. He's got things, like, we can't lie, he's got things going for himself. Like, I've seen the women on Twitter, boxing Twitter, react to Tommy Fury. All right, he's got that going for him. He can be a YouTuber. I mean,
I've seen the women on boxing Twitter reacting to me. I'm just putting that out there. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is, he's got different avenues that are going to open up for him now. He doesn't have to go the boxing lane anymore, and it's only going to go downhill from him after. But
I think Queensberry is going to use him to propel somebody. Like they're going to get their investment back, bro. Like they are. Like they're going to use him for one of their up and coming prospects, or like a contender to get a name. Like they're going to use him, bro. Like he's fodder. Like, you know what I mean? The same with Jake Paul. Like, they're going to use him for something, right? But do you think, though, ultimately that influencer boxing or whatever, and let me bundle in, because Floyd, unfortunately, is part of that whole thing now, like just celebrity boxing exhibitions, these little side circus acts, right? The WWE side of boxing, basically, that there is money in, whether we like it or not. Oh, yeah. Is that going to start falling now? Like, is the allure of it, whatever you want to call it, gonna fade? Because I don't know if you saw, like they had to dim the lights for Floyd because there was some empty seats. You know, I'm just saying. People are like, "No, what do you mean? Everybody showed up before. Everybody showed up before the Floyd fight. Right before the fight, it was packed. Okay, why did they dim the lights? All the flashing lights. I didn't see them.
Poor Floyd booked the O2 Arena. And just to turn on the air conditioner at that place is a ton of money, and like 600 people showed up. So that showed you his expectations compared to what actually happened. That shows this whole thing is starting to settle, right? It was going up. Now it's starting to plateau and settle. Yeah. And Jake Paul losing, although this isn't going to end. It's not going to end. But Jake Paul losing is going to make it take a hit. It is, because Jake Paul's allure was, how far can he go, right? How far can this guy actually go? Maybe, just maybe, he is a great boxer. But it's just not there. You saw it in the fight. It's not there. So it's going to fizzle. As far as Jake Paul, it's going to fizzle. His numbers are going to start to drastically decline because people are going to lose interest.
But he sold 500,000, according to him.
Right, according to him.
How the hell does he have all the numbers already?
According to me, I made 10 million last year. I mean, it is what it is. So I can say what I want.
Look, I think it's going to take a hit. I think that's a realistic dot, to be honest with you. Floyd Mayweather, I remember, bro, remember after the Conor McGregor fight, he came back and he fought that Japanese dude? Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I stayed up for that. Like, I remember, like, I stayed up. I was intrigued, kind of, believe it or not. But like, I literally don't give a shit anymore. Like, I just don't care who he's fighting. I just it went over my head. I just didn't care, to be honest with you. Like, I heard the fight just happened. I'm like, what? It did? Like, yeah, the fight happened. Like, wow, okay. Didn't care. And then I saw the dim lights. They did not want to turn on the lights. I'm just putting that out there.
Lights cost money, D-style.
And I know what people are going to say. Well, Ali did exhibitions. Like, okay, well, Ali did them for charity. Like,
I don't have an issue with him doing exhibitions either, but it just goes to show you his expectations compared to reality. His expectations were, I'm going to go to the UK and sell out O2 Arena. The reality was nobody cared. And the reality is nobody cares. And it doesn't hurt his legacy to me, because his legacy is his legacy. These aren't real fights, but it's just, it's always kind of sad, right? I talked about it on my podcast Monday. You see that band that can't come to grips that they're now on the casino tour, right? They're selling out small theaters on casinos now. I've seen Boys to Men 3 times in a small theater in Mississippi at the Beau Rivage Casino.
Man, for real?
Boys to Men in the 90s would have been an arena tour.
Well, Metallica still playing in stadiums. I just want to let everybody know right now.
But not everybody's Metallica is what I'm saying. And some come to grips with that, and some can't come to grips with that, and they'll still play an arena, and 1,000 people show up.
No, but you're right. Like, I remember Santana came here and he played at the Plaza Theater, where there's like Theater. There was like 1,000 people there.
And that's fine. It doesn't hurt his legacy because he had his legacy. But what I'm saying is some people can't come to grips that they're now a theater act. And Floyd's that guy now. Floyd Leonard was out there in 2022 saying he's still the face of boxing. And clearly he's not.
Metallica is kind of like, in terms of music acts, they're still considered like high performers. You know what I mean? So it'll be like an active boxer still facing high level competition kind of. Whereas Floyd, that's like a washed up band. You know what I mean? Like a band that's like not playing that good anymore. And that's kind of the equivalent. But that is what it is. I just want to, speaking of legacy, just really quick, this day in history, Roy Jones Jr. You must have forgot, Calix. I think you forgot because he beat John Ruiz, all right? And for the WBA version of the WBA strap, I think that's a hell of an accomplishment. And in my opinion, and I'll let you kind of take it from here, he should have retired. He should have retired, and he would have been known as the greatest boxer ever by a lot of people.
You think ever? I would have said.
I'm not saying I would consider. I'm saying that would be a very strong case and argument that a lot of people would make.
Because the argument a lot of people.
This is what they would say, Alex. They would say, I don't believe you could put any man in the history of boxing in the ring with Roy Jones in his prime and would win that fight. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, and I think Roy's actually fighting a real sanctioned fight, not an exhibition next month. From what I heard, I hope this isn't true. We might have to bring up our Occupy Roy Jones movement again. That got a lot of people mad a decade ago. But
how many face palms have you done this decade just on Roy Jones? Like,
and nobody was a bigger Roy Jones fan than myself down here in the Gulf Coast. And seen Roy several times. Awesome guy. But if he retires after that fight, he's top 10 all time, period. Because like you said, when we talk about Roy, we talk about in his prime, he's probably the greatest fighter of our era in his prime, right? Probably. I mean, him, pure boxer, like pure fighter at their peak. Floyd's up there, Roy to me is that guy. Yeah. If he retires there instead of going back down, to me, I think he should have stayed at heavyweight, maybe one more fight. He talked about wanting to fight Mike Tyson after that fight. I don't know if that's a real thing or not, but maybe you stick around and try to unify a heavyweight title. And if you lose, you lose. But I never wanted to see him go back down after that, and he did. And Antonio Tarver happened, and Glenn Johnson happened, and a lot of stuff happened after that, and it got ugly.
Look, Chelsea Pro. No, I saw Metallica early 2019, right? And they actually put on a good show. But I don't know now. Like, that's what, 3 years later. I don't know how he's doing now. But I saw Ozzy Osbourne like 10 years ago. Oh my God! Like I felt bad.
Were your ears bleeding?
No, not really. But it just didn't sound good. Like it just it just wasn't. I would rather have been. You know what? Just play a song and let him lip sync. Like, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good. I'll give him a pass. You know what I mean?
They should have got a hologram.
Yeah, like I don't know. It was terrible. So he's not there yet. Like for rock bands, like the Rolling Stones. They look in terrible shape, and they're still out there. You know what I mean? I don't know now, but like they were still out there not that long ago. So let's just stay in Saudi Arabia for one more here. Did you see? I don't know if you all saw Fury and Wilder give this up. Wilder walked up to him. And he gave him a big hug, and he rested his head on his shoulder, and nice squeeze, and then he said, blessings, blessings. You know what I mean? Like it's man. Does it look like really bad? Like it doesn't sound like the bad blood that I'm hearing from some of these channels. Like, or like what happened to it? It's on site. Well, what happened to that?
Site. It's on site.
Why didn't he call him a cheater? Why did he say, no, you cheated me? What? You use egg weights. Oh, you don't have egg weights on you right now. Let's go. Like, you know what I mean? Like
what happened?
Give him a big hug and a kiss. And
what he meant was cuddling was on site. Because according to Tyson Fury's brother, Deontay, after talking years of trash about my brother, he saw my brother and cuddled him like a little bitch. That's not me saying that. That's Tyson Fury's brother saying that. So it clarifies what I saw with my eyes. What I saw with my eyes was Tyson Fury clearly trolling. Bomb squad. And then what does Deontay Wilder do? He kind of puts his head down, laughs, and then he makes a 90-degree turn.
Yep.
This is what I'm watching.
Coach Malachi put out, by the way.
They didn't meet halfway. None of that. Tyson Fury didn't walk. He walked towards Tyson Fury, dapped him up, hugged him, bless. After saying on site for so many years, why would you do that with a guy? Why would you do that with a guy who you said wanted to kill you with egg weights, wanted to kill you by having your own trainer?
I'm 46-0. I've never lost. He cheated. Look at that big hug. So he hugged his brother.
And then the morning after this, he goes on 78 Sports TV and says, I'm an undefeated fighter. What? Why didn't you tell that guy that guy on the screen? Why didn't you tell him that last night? Why are you going to your hotel room after you cuddled him the night before, going to your hotel room and talking trash again? I thought it was on site.
So let me get this straight.
But this isn't out of character because Deontay Wilder's been doing this for a while, right? He'll be nice, and to me, that's his true nature. Deontay Wilder, I think, is a good dude. I do believe that, but I think he's got caught up in the LDBC crowd and all this nonsense. My question to the content creators who are carrying on with this is, why do you continue to carry water and cap for a dude who has been saying it's on site for years? And then the dude that you've all been villainizing for years, he sees him and he gives him a hug and cuddles him.
He gives him a hug. He even rests his head on his shoulder, calls him my brother, gives him a kiss in the cheek. That's all that was missing. The kiss in the cheek. You know what I mean? Like, my brother. Because remember, like before the first fight, it was hugging. Remember this, guys. A lot of the Wilder fans out here on these YouTube streets, especially, but they're on all social media, like they made a killing. Just tell, oh, we know he's a cheater, always a cheater. He tested positive, and Alex Setback, okay, well, he's massaging his balls and shit. Like that's all he does when he interviews this guy. Okay, Wilder, here, let me massage your balls while I make fun of Fury. Oh, I'm not gonna say who. Oh, somebody failed a drug test. I'm not gonna say who. I'm not going to say who. Oh, some people could jaywalk and they get arrested, but some can get away with murder, like whatever, right? So we knew he tested positive before, but guess what, Khaled? Before the first fight, he was giving him a hug and a kiss in the cheek and dapping him, calling him my brother and we're the real deal. Fuck AJ. Here, AJ. Tuh! Okay, While AJ was offering him more money, while AJ had never tested positive, had never been known to cheat, you didn't fight him. You fought Fury for less money, as you admitted, calling him your brother, giving him hugs and kisses and dapping all day. And guess what? You're back to hugging, kissing, and dapping. Okay, that's it. That's the energy you had. That's it. I don't care what you say in front of Alex Setback while he's massaging your balls. I don't care what he say in front of anybody who you're talking to while they're massaging your balls. You had an opportunity here, okay? And you let Fury massage your balls while you give him a nice big hug. I mean, look at that hug, bro. Look at that emoji. You know that emoji is a real thing. You know that, right? That is the official emoji of Fury and Wilder, bro.
Can I kill another narrative too?
Sure.
This narrative that everybody's out to get Deontay Wilder, that the system is out to get Deontay. No, the boxing system was friendly, extremely friendly. Boxing fans were extremely friendly to Deontay Wilder coming up. And we knew that in New Orleans, he was getting gift decisions in the Olympic trials because he had a great story against other fighters. And he won a bronze medal in the Olympics. He was overachieving as an amateur, and then he went pro, and we knew he was a project, right? Not a prospect, not Jared Anderson. Jared Anderson, they're saying, is the best prospect since Riddick Bowe, but this was a project, and we all knew that. We were patient with it. What I'm saying is the boxing system built Deontay Wilder so much that he didn't fight anybody for the first 7 years in his career. So much so that his biggest wins to date are Stavern and an older Luis Ortiz. And yet we're still calling him a top heavyweight. The boxing system, the fans, from top to bottom, has been fair, more than fair, more than helpful to Deontay Wilder. Nobody is out to get him. This victim mentality when it comes to Deontay Wilder that a lot of people.
But you know what?
Pushing.
Fury had the audacity to beat him up in a fight. Because every time I hear these dudes talking, they forget that Wilder gave him the opportunity. Like, okay, like, so he's supposed to let Wilder beat him or what? Like, what does that even mean? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, remember he tells Fury, you were in the couch and I got you out of the couch. Like, okay, well, I guess you just fought AJ then.
Yeah.
Instead of all this at the end of the day. All right. But you give him a nice big hug, bro. Then, by the way, Coach Malachi pointed this out today. He was holding hands with his wife. Mm-hmm. And he shook his wife's hand out to go hug this dude. You know what I mean? And then he said, he said, blessings. He gave him his blessing, brother. Blessings. Blessings. Mm-hmm. There's nothing. Is there anything better you could tell a person than, hey, man, blessings? Mm-hmm. No. I don't think there's anything better you could tell a person. So at the end of the day, here's the reality, guys. I don't believe that Wilder believes that this dude had egg weights. I don't think he believes he was drugged. Okay, this shit's stupid. The more I talk about it, I can't even believe this was a thing. And then people just walk around like they never said these things. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. So all I'm saying is he gave him a nice big hug. Don't get mad at me about it.
And to respond to this, I do think he's a top heavyweight. I always have. So my point is nobody is dragging him down. People are either ranking him properly or over-ranking him because I'm hearing Hall of Fame talk. And I don't think you should be able to get into the Hall of Fame if your biggest wins are Stavern and Luis Ortiz. I think more needs to be done is what I'm saying. Well, but people have been fair to him or more than fair. I don't see people dragging Deontay Wilder down. I don't think that's out there. I think it's.
I have a very unpopular opinion. I'll be honest. Given his title defenses and all that, I would personally put him in the Hall of Fame, right? That's just me, right? He was one of very few champions at a certain point, but I just put the hashtag there. Okay, that is the official hashtag of these two. But I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong either. It's just my personal opinion. Like, you have an argument, right? Like his resume is weak in terms of it's numbers based. You know what I mean? Like, you could make the argument that they like, what's that term they use in basketball when they like, what does LeBron do with the numbers again? Like at the end of games,
pads them.
You're saying your argument is maybe he has a padded record.
He has a padded record, but what I'm saying is, if you look at his top peers, how many has he beat? And the top peers are there: Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. You can even throw Joe Joyce in there now. You can put Andy Ruiz in there. Alexander Usyk. How many have he beat? Yeah. Fighters of previous eras, the great ones, have at least beat one or two of their top peers, right? And where are they? Where are those numbers? And it's not like they're out there ducking him like a Bud Crawford situation, right? Guys are willing to fight. AJ was willing to fight. He turned down, 9 figures to go fight Tyson Fury? I don't know.
Can we shout out to everybody using the hug emojis? All right. I think this is good news, Calix. I think it's good that they're dropping the beef and they're brothers now, like hugging and kissing and bomb squad. Like, so now when they see each other, that's what they're gonna do. Like, they're gonna see each other, bomb squad, and they're gonna go hug each other. You know what I mean? That. You know what I mean?
The disturbing part, though, is it seems like his soldiers in the new media haven't gotten the memo that the beef is squashed.
Oh, man, he gave him that, bro. Like, let me tell you something. If somebody smacked you with a baseball bat or with an egg weight, somebody grabbed an egg weight, Alex, and hit you, in front of your family, and almost try to kill you. You know what I mean?
Poison.
And you see him next year, and it poisoned you, right?
Yeah, you poisoned me too.
Yeah, and
you made me wear a 75-pound suit to my job.
So, like, would you give him dap and hug him and give him your blessings?
Yeah.
Like, you can't make this shit up. Use your fucking heads. And I don't know how are they going to rationalize this. I haven't even heard the channels, by the way. They're probably saying shit like, "Well, that's because Wilder has class. Okay, he can't do nothing right. You guys criticize him no matter what he does. If he would have given him the finger, y'all would have been criticizing him. Like, it's crazy, bro. Like, probably what they're saying, by the way. But what's up to Puro Sur, Mad Dog in the building?
I'm still waiting for the evidence, by the way.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for Tay Jones. Yo, Tay Jones. I don't know if you still listen to my show or not, Tay Jones. You said you were going to provide me with the evidence. You told me. I have the DMs. You said, "Oh, don't worry. After the fight, I'm going to give it to you." Instead, you blocked me. You blocked me on Twitter.
They do this.
Dude, you blocked me on Twitter instead of giving me the evidence.
Look at the dent. Look at the dent on his head.
Where's the dent, little Tay? I just want to know where it's at. That's all I'm asking. You know what I mean? Like, you said there's a dent. You said you're going to provide evidence, and there's going to be all these lawsuits. And what happened to all that? And none of this shit happened. Instead, we got dap, hugs, kisses in the cheek. You know what I mean? Blessings. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, what's next? Are they like, Fury's going to remarry? You know who's going to be his best man? Wow. See you right there, bro. He's going to hand him the ring. Here you go, my brother. I'm happy for you. Here you go, my brother. I made sure I gave the right hand anybody try to get this ring. I took care of it for you, my brother. I'm just saying. But anyway, what are you gonna do? What are we gonna do? Hey, with that said, Crawford. He's gonna come back, Alex.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. He's gonna be back for sure.
Oh, he'll be back. The boogeyman's back.
Rocha. I gotta be honest. But I mean, well, what else is there? I guess.
Yeah. Let me just start with that. Look, people need to understand something. Rocha was in the rankings, WBO rankings. He was about number 4 last year. Who was ahead of him? Virgil. Virgil politicked to fight Stanionis for Reggie, which will turn into a real belt once Spence hopefully vacates. Hopefully is stripped before he can vacate. Because for the life of me, I don't understand how you cannot defend any of your titles for over a year. You're going to go up to 154 and fight your mandatory at 147 at 154 and still be able to keep your belts. Don't understand that at all. But Virgil Ortiz is here, and he decides to go in a different direction. And oh, by the way, if what we think is going to happen happens, he fights Rocha and signs a multi-fight deal with Golden Boy. Then guess who's on the back end of that? Virgil Ortiz, right? So who else was ranked ahead of him? Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman decided to go the other route, and now he's going to get a fight with Errol Spence. Who else decided to go a different route? D-Style? Boots Ennis. What route did Boots Ennis go? Tell everybody.
IBF.
He went the IBF route. So if Boots Ennis doesn't go the IBF
That's what
route,
I heard was the way to go, by the way. I mean.
Right. So if Boots Ennis goes the WBO route, guess who's the mandatory right now? Who? Boots Ennis.
You're right.
Bud Crawford has to honor the mandatory or pay step-aside money by May. Boots Ennis would have been first in line ahead of Rocha. So these three guys decide to go another route. For 5 years, I've been hearing Bud needs to cross the street. Bud needs to cross the street. Bud needs to cross the street. Bud crosses the street, and as he crosses the street with his WBO belt, everybody decides to go a different route around him. So what's he going to do? Rocha's next in line in the rankings. The rankings are there for a reason. This is a sanctioning body's job. Keep things moving. Bring guys up and give guys a shot who normally wouldn't get a shot. We talked about Ndango getting his shot in Russia, getting his shot in the UK, then getting his shot in Omaha for undisputed after he unifies and becomes champion, unifies. This is Rocha's shot. He's next in line. So I ask people, what do you want Bud to do? What do you want him to do? He's going to stick around at 147, and it looks like he's going to fight Rocha then Virgil, the winner of Virgil Stanionis. What else would you like him to do? Boots is going the IBF route. Errol's doing whatever the hell Errol's doing. Certainly doesn't want to fight Bud, or his advisor doesn't want him to fight Bud. His advisor has advised him out of that fight. So what do you want him to do?
Well, look, you make a lot of good points. He's kind of in a position where, okay, I got to fight this dude. And you know what? It's not like Rocha's a bad fighter, right?
He's not.
And Rocha's, he's in a winning streak, and if anything, he deserves it, right? So I don't want to make an argument. Otherwise, it's just that it's hard to get up for the fight. But I'll also watch it though. But I understand why the fight's happening. But I just find it funny how every move Crawford makes, everything. These guys are like that song from the Police, that they're just watching this guy. Every move you make, I'll be watching you. Every vow you take or whatever. Like they watch Crawford like a hawk, right? But no matter what he does, Cal, he go wake up in the morning, he'll go to Denny's and order pancakes. Oh, see, you don't want to fight Spence. Look, he's ducking. Why? Because he ordered a stack of pancakes. Like, what do you mean? Like. So what do you want him to do? Well, if he was serious about wanting to fight Errol, he would be ordering the Grand Slam. But you see, he's ordering pay. It doesn't matter what he does. If he orders a Grand Slam, he's eating the Grand Slam. If he was serious about fighting Errol, he would order the stack of pancakes. Like, it just doesn't matter. It's just by default. It's Crawford's fault, no matter what. No matter what Crawford does, no matter what Crawford says, it doesn't matter. It's his fault. Because that's it. It's almost like they're taking marching orders, right? It's almost like they're just following the same, script, almost. That's almost what it seems like to me, What do you guys want? Like, they're already saying this in a fight, freaking, what's his name, Thurman? But like, we don't have a venue. We don't have a day. Are they going to fight? Are they going to fight? No, if they are, it's going to be later down the line. It's just crazy, bro. It reminds me of the Jamal fan. Oh, Canelo. Oh, he ducked Jamal. Like, the dude hasn't fought in 600 days. And the dude, and then he's announcing he's going to fight like months from now. And this shit's crazy. Like what? He don't even deserve to come out of your fucking, his name to come out of your breath. All right?
This is what people need to understand, too, is I brought this up earlier. The top 10 pound for pound, according to Ring Magazine, last year fought a combined 14 times. And we're 2 months in, they fought a combined 0 times. None of them are going to fight in March, and likely none of them are going to fight in April. So you're going to have the first 4 months of this calendar year without a top 10 pound for pound guy fighting active. So we need these guys fighting. So do you want Bud? It seems like they want Bud Crawford just sitting on the shelf and waiting for Al to give him some sort of legit deal finally, because both fighters getting no guaranteed money is not a legit deal. Nobody with any common sense believes that. So do you want Bud Crawford just sitting on the shelf, all these top 10 pound for pound guys sitting on the shelf, or do you want him signing a multi-fight deal to where he can fight multiple times, hopefully this year, against a guy like Rocha, who is a fringe top 10 guy? I understand, like, on the surface, Rocha's Rocha, right? And he's a good fighter. Yeah. He's an entertaining fighter, but he's a guy that we expect to have multiple losses throughout his career, right? And his appeal is entertainment. It's not top pound for pound guy. We don't expect him to beat Bud Crawford. We expect that to be a 10-1 fight. That's frustrating. I get it, but he has to fight it. It's a mandatory. And on the back end of that, would be the winner of Virgil and Stanionis, hopefully Virgil. And Bud versus Virgil. If Bud's going to stick around 36, 37 years old, stay at welterweight and fight the young lion, sign me up for it. Sign me up for Bud versus Virgil. I'm more intrigued by that fight. I got to be honest. Like Bud versus Errol, that ship is sailed for me. I'm more intrigued by Bud versus Virgil at this point.
I mean, it's getting there for me. I still, believe it or not, I still want the damn fight. I would be so excited if that fight got announced. It just isn't going to happen, man. But it's I've come to terms with that. We're likely not going to get the fight. You know what I mean? It's just that. But I want to talk about another fight. Tank versus Ryan. Let me just flat out ask you, do you think this fight's happening?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's like a couple of weeks ago, we talked about this on the round table, and I gave a 90%. I felt about 90% sure it was going to happen. I still feel that way. And
You're still at 90, though?
I got to be honest. I up it to 98% right now. I'm about 98% sure it's going to happen.
What's up with the venue? Well, why haven't we got a venue?
Yeah.
Like people need to plan flights, and they need to plan what hotel to stay at. You know, like what? What's the holdup? I mean, I'm just saying.
I get that. It feels like you're just trying to drag them along, right? Like, please give us a signed contract. Please give us a venue.
Well, I have a theory. So, and I hope I'm wrong, by the way. But you know that game of chicken, right?
Mm-hmm.
Two cars and then whoever moves out of the way first loses, because then nobody moves out of the way. Like you both die and nobody loses. But anyway, so I feel like Golden Boy and the PBC are playing this game of chicken, and they're just waiting for somebody to crack and say, "Well, that's it. The fight's not happening." And whoever does that first, they want to blame them for the fight not happening. Like nobody wants to take responsibility for the fight not happening. You know, I feel like that's what's happening right now. I feel like one side is waiting for the other to pull out because I don't think they fully agreed to this fight yet. I think they've agreed in principle. I think they've signed letters of intent, but nothing signed in contract yet because they don't got a venue. And I think they're dragging it on to get 100% what they want each side, and they're just waiting. They're just waiting for, like the way Oscar came out over the top, like, "Oh, I made it happen, everybody. Yeah, you're welcome." And Espinosa saying like every time people ask Espinosa questions, he's giving people, he's referring them to articles that somebody else wrote instead of giving us his own take.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to just guarantee us that this fight's gonna happen. There's a sense I'm getting.
I don't.
I'm a little worried.
I would disagree respectfully, but here's what I'd say also is the fact that you and Beeb are even making these assumptions and asking these questions tells us where we are and who we're dealing with in this fight. Because I understand why y'all are asking these questions and making these assumptions is because I don't trust these people either that are involved in this fight. In particular, PBC to give us this fight and go along with it.
I just want to know this.
I do. I've always felt that we're going to get this fight. We're going to get to it. I think we're too far along at this point. Too far along.
Where's the press conference?
I don't know.
When have they announced the date for the press conference?
Here's what I'll say too. A little bit of pushback. March Madness is coming up. And CBS is involved in March Madness. CBS is involved with Showtime. Okay. I think there's going to be a huge push. I think you're going to see a huge push during March Madness for this fight. I think do
you have a deadline? Like if they don't make it official by a certain date, do you have a date more or less?
If I don't see anything, if I don't see commercials and stuff during March Madness, I'll start getting worried.
Okay.
Because that's a perfect opportunity to push that fight. I don't know what you think about this though. If Jake Paul's out there saying he did 500,000 buys,
right,
I would say he's embellishing that. But if Jake Paul's doing 500,000 buys, obviously the barometer for a pay-per-view, a big pay-per-view, is coming down. What do you think top number would be for this fight? That's number one. And number two, do you think Ryan Garcia is undervalued at 3-1? Because I think he's severely undervalued at 3-1. I think I see this as a toss-up fight.
Yeah, 3-1. Let me answer that first. That he's definitely undervalued. I think Ryan Garcia has a pretty decent shot of winning this fight. Like I really do. I'll be honest, I haven't really like dove deep and really break down this fight because I don't want to waste my breath. Like if
dude, I'm telling you though, Ryan's got a big frame. He's got a welterweight frame.
Yeah, and that's another thing. He hits hard, you know. And I think you can't count him out. Like, I'm not saying he should be the favorite, but that 3-1 is crazy. And if I tell you guys right now, if you think Ryan's gonna win, place him now.
Oh yeah,
now.
It's gonna shrink. It's gonna shrink.
Right? No, it's gonna, no doubt about that. It's gonna, the gap is gonna close. I wouldn't even be shocked. You might be shocked to hear this if he becomes the slight favorite closer to the fight. Right? That would. I
wouldn't be surprised by that. But I'll tell you this: I already put money down on Ryan at plus 240, and I'm picking Ryan to win the fight. I am.
Okay. Yeah. So he has an excellent chance. I do worry about is like Ryan has a tendency to not focus 100% in his fights and get caught. The chin's in the air still, but something just tells me like, if we know, he knows. Like Tank's a big puncher. He knows that. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have a chin in the air against Tank. I'm pretty sure he knows that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so he's going to work on that. And I think he should consider, it's my opinion, the same training tactic that B-Hop had against Felix Trinidad, where they literally had him use a tennis ball, hold it in his chin like this while he was like sparring. You know what I mean? Or not, maybe not sparring, but like hitting the mitts and stuff like that, or shadow boxing. Like he needs to work on that personally. But that aside, I'm not sure who I favor yet. To me, it's like a 50-50, to be honest.
He pushed for this fight hard. I think
he did. He did.
He pushed for this fight hard, and he said
sometimes people see some and they're wrong, but right. I do agree.
It's true. But he said
50-50.
We were supposed to do this fight in October. Or no, I was supposed to have a tune-up in October. They told me I can't do a tune-up if I want the fight. So we were supposed to do the fight in December. He said we can't do the fight in December because it's my birthday. Then it's going to be January, and then now it's April. He wanted every hoop that they put in his place, D-Style, he hopped through it. He hopped through every.
But help me out here. So I lost the first. What was the first question again?
The first question was, what do you think the ceiling is as far as pay-per-view buys?
Look, by the way, shout out to Tony Boswell, MC in the Ring, Remy, Boxing the Story, and all on here. Shout out to all of you. So I think the ceiling is about, I'm going to say about 600,000. Which isn't even bad. I don't think it's bad. You know what happened, Calix? Like, I'm going to tell you what happened. The boxing fans' mind got kind of convinced that everything has to be $1 million to be successful because of the Manny Pacquiao Mayweather era. You know what I mean? Before that, it wasn't like that. It's not true. De La Hoya only did $1 million twice before Mayweather. That's it. Trinidad and B-Hop. He didn't do $1 million with Shane. He didn't do $1 million with Vargas. He didn't do $1 million with Mayorga. He did really good numbers, 900,000, 800,000, right? And he was a mega star, right? Before that, the only guy where like $1 million was a lock was fucking Mike Tyson. That's it. You know what I mean? So I think anything around the 600,000 mark is really good, actually, to be honest with you. And that's what I think. So some people are saying $1 million. I personally don't see it.
Floyd was a one-off, man. Floyd was one of one. One of one.
And it was a perfect
not walking
storm.
through the door again.
It was like a perfect storm. Like social media just kicked off. Twitter and Facebook were on the rise. YouTube was on the rise. And they were on top at the right moment. You know, and then they had a story of each other. People wanted to see them fight so bad that it kept them both very relevant. And that's just not.
Then Canelo carried it on, but that other guy is not out there. It's just not.
Plus the narratives, Calix, Floyd, TBE, Manny Pacquiao, is he the best ever? And like people were saying these things, right? Nobody's saying that about Tank and Ryan.
No.
So nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying they're the best in the division, really, outside of like their personal hardcore fans. So yeah, but I think that's
what else. It reminds me of what I said earlier. Is Floyd and Manny got introduced to a different stratosphere after the Oscar fight.
Yes.
But what did Floyd and Manny do before that? They already built Hall of Fame and a half careers before that. We've been over Floyd. Like Floyd, 2 years into his career, was Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year.
Yeah, they were already Hall of Famers. They were both like in the top 5 pound for pound. Floyd was number 1. Manny was like number 2.
1, 2, 3 pound for pound, depending on when and where. But by the time they had fought Oscar, right? And that's my point, is they had a track record, but the track record is important because you trust that after you beat the dude, the cash cow, that you're going to take that ball and run with it. We can't trust these fighters after they get that big win, right? That they're going to continue to take that ball and run. Do you trust Tank or Ryan up to this point to, after this fight top fight after top fight after top fight? Maybe they end up fighting each other 2 or 3 times, but it'll take a while. But what I'm saying is, even like a Benavidez, if he gets the Canelo fight in 2024, do you trust that Benavidez is going to take that and run with it?
I'm going to say something. No. The 200,000 that Tank does today is even less impressive than it was in the 90s or early 2000s because it's so easy to get a pay-per-view today.
Yeah.
Back then, you needed to have a cable account and not have it in order to even have the ability to order.
Zab was putting up similar numbers on pay-per-view, and Zab was doing good live gate numbers.
And guess what? Like with inflation, $69.99 was just a lot more money back then.
Yeah.
Like it was, the value of it was just a lot more. So that's that, you know what I mean? But speaking of pay-per-view, now this won't be pay-per-view in Australia, not here. We'll get it on Showtime here, but Harrison, Tim Tsyu, we're just 2 weeks away, bro. Like a week and a half, really. Fights in Australia, Sydney. Harrison, I think, is doing such a good job promoting the shit out of this fight. And that's one thing Tim Tsyu's team said. They're like, we needed somebody quick. We needed somebody legit. And the fact that Harrison can talk, it's just a plus. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like an extra added bonus. He's talking about Tim Tsyu. He took the elevator. I took the stairs. I had it harder. He had it easy. He's not ready for a guy like me. I don't even think he's in the bottom of the totem pole. I mean, he's saying now he might even believe these things, right? He might believe it. His competitive side, even. But I gotta tell you, Calix, like, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think Tim Tsyu's going to destroy him. Like, I do. Like, I think it's going to make it a good fight for a couple of rounds, and I think Tim Tsyu's going to crack him with something, and the whole fight's going to change. And I think he's gonna beat him decisively. I think he's going to make a statement in this fight. It's my opinion. Now, that's not a guarantee. Harrison's a really good fighter, but
I don't agree. By the way,
but that aside. Because like next week we'll break down the fight more, you know. But what do you make of his comments? Is there any validity to that? Like, did Tim Tsyu have it easier because of his dad? Is he another Chavez Jr.? Is he like how do you see this?
It's a comment to get under his skin, is what it is. I don't agree with it. I don't even think Tony Harrison agrees with it. I think it's a comment to get under Tim Tsyu's skin, and this is like the coach's son vibe, right? Like some players get that chip on their shoulder because they see the coach's son maybe getting more playing time or something like that, and they don't feel like they deserved it. Maybe they feel like that guy was born on third base instead of hitting singles to get there or hitting a triple, whatever it is. It's sort of like what Benavidez Sr. seems to be saying about Canelo, right? he was born on third base. That's the type of comments he's making. And it seems to be the same thing Harrison saying about Tim Tsyu here. Here's the thing, though. Tim Tsyu passes the eye test. He does. He's already got a good victory. He's come to America, and he wanted the Mel fight badly. This isn't the behavior of a guy who is taking the elevator. This is the behavior of the guy saying, I want my own name. I don't want to be Costa Tszyu's son. I want my own name. Yeah. This isn't a Chavez Jr. situation, right? So where, things looked okay at middleweight for a while, but you can start to see the warning signs, right? That this guy inherited this and he wasn't putting in the work to keep it going. I don't get that vibe from Tim Tsyu at all. So if this is what Harrison believes, then good for Tim Tsyu, because Harrison at that point would have Tim Tsyu not measured correctly as a fighter. Because
so I want to play this. I have the audio, so I'll play the audio.
Mm-hmm.
Just to remind everybody, this is from the Boxing Voice. So let me just play this really quick, and we'll talk about it. Let me, if I could get it going, you know what I mean? Like the way people talk about it's always the son of the legend, Costa Tsyu. A lot of us were big Costa Tsyu fans, right? How do you balance being proud of your father and embracing that legacy, but at the same time not being under his shadow, becoming your own man? How are you balancing that as a fighter?
Yeah, look, at first it was, it's got its perks, it's got its good and bad. I'm proud of what my dad did and what he's done, and he achieved a lot in his great career, and at the same time, it's helped me accelerate my career and gave me a platform here in Australia to be on pay-per-view at such a young age, and I was able to capitalize that, and I was able to beat everyone that was in front of me. So it's I need to get myself out of the shadow, of course, eventually, but I need a big name, someone that I can prove myself to in that international stage, and it's just a matter of time for myself. I've been consistent for 5 years and been training hard and fighting anyone who's in front of me.
Right, so I think you were able to hear that, right?
At the top fight,
I think that's all the right answers, bro.
They don't have the track. They're going to take a while.
You know what I mean?
But what I'm saying is,
I think that's compare that to when Sergio Martinez was telling Chavez, you only were because of your dad, and he's like, no, I'm not. I did it all on my own, and you know what I mean? My dad didn't help me. I did everything on my own, and like stop.
He's introspective. He's measured. He understands that he has a name that he needs to. He understands why people think the way they think about maybe he's taking the elevator. He gets all that, but he's putting in the work. Sometimes you need to work harder. You have more to prove. You have more pressure on you because you're that dude with that last name. It could be a gift, but it's also a curse. Harrison may be focusing on just the good that comes with being Tsyu, Tim Tsyu. He's not focusing on the bad that comes along with it. That's a lot of
maybe
pressure.
He knows the
That's
bad.
A lot of pressure.
Maybe he knows the pressure.
True.
Maybe he's
putting more on it.
He's putting more on it. Like, man, I'm gonna say that you had it given to you just so you could have more to prove. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to the fight. One related to this, I haven't heard anything from Jamal. I don't know what the hell's going on. What's going on with the hand? What's the progress? I don't know. You know what I mean? Is he going to stick around? I heard he was doing interviews. I couldn't find it right before the show, but if anybody's heard him, you can let us know. But I think Joe Habib had told me he's doing interviews saying things like, these sort of red flags to me. Like, oh, once you get all the belts, I mean, is it really worth it keeping them? All the sanctioning fees and like.
Which, by the way, is a real problem. That is a real problem.
I get that, but I mean, what is he saying? He's saying he's going to make it belt?
But Tim Tsyu would still fight him even if he put one belt on the line.
Yeah, but is he even going to stick around?
Mm-hmm.
Or is the PBC plan Jamal moves to 168. Jamal moves to 160.
I've always agreed with
Spence.
Nando on that. Nando has always felt that Jamal is holding Jamel from moving up to 160.
But I think he's going to move up.
Jamal is simply sitting there on that belt. He's just sitting there.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, I feel that's what they're going to do. I think, again, Jamal, 168, Jamal, 160, and then, of course, 154, Errol Spence. So I think the fight we might get, Calix, is not Crawford Spence. It's not Jamal versus Tim Tsyu. And if Tim Tsyu gets past Harrison, I think it's Tim Tsyu against Errol Spence. I think that's the fight we end up getting, probably. And Tim Tsyu's team set to welcome Errol Spence with open arms to Australia. It doesn't sound like they want to fight him here. They're like, well, you can fight us here. Like, if Errol Spence is going to move up and just A-side everybody, I don't know. I mean, is he an A-side? Does he have leverage like that?
He's going to try to. I can tell you that.
I mean,
try to.
And look, it might happen because, in fairness, a lot of the big fights happen in Vegas, and Tim Tsyu seems to have always wanted to fight in Vegas, like his dad did, and I get it. So it could still happen, but they might have to give him some extra cheddar. You know what I mean? To come over here, I'm just saying, But
we're definitely going to have some conversations because I don't agree with you that Tim Tsyu is going to run through Harrison.
Yeah, no, next week we'll do a breakdown about that. I don't know. Actually, yeah, I do think he's going to run over him. Like, it is what it is. We'll talk about it. We're going to talk about it. And next week should be a really good show, and we'll talk about that fight. A lot to talk about next week for sure. But and look, from the good, which is Matias, the bad, which I guess was Jake Paul. I don't know. Like, that fight with Tommy was horrible. To the ugly, which was Wilder giving Fury a big hug, or was that the good? I don't know. It depends, I guess. You know what I mean? Any final thoughts, Calix?
Well, we got Magsayo versus Figueroa.
Well, that's right. Before we get to final thoughts, Magsayo Figueroa. That's right.
I'll tell you what.
Let's talk about that.
That we've had fights the past, I'd say, month or two, and we had fights like this in 2022 where we said, I think this could be a fight of the year type fight. One that comes to mind is, off the top of my head, Stanionis Butayev. I thought that was going to be a great fight. It ended up being more of a showcase fight for Stanionis, more one-sided than I expected, and it never really took off. This one here, I'm telling you, Figueroa moving up a weight. We saw that with Ray Vargas against O'Shake Foster, right? Their weight classes for a reason. Some of your attributes that overwhelm a division don't carry up with you. And Ray Vargas's size, his length didn't overwhelm or bother O'Shake Foster like it did some guys at 126.
Right.
Does Brandon Figueroa, will he able to pressure fight and walk through guys at 126? I like Figueroa at 126, but it's 126. It's not 122. I think the guy is super talented because he arguably beats Stephen Fulton Jr., a guy that many claim is a top 10 pound-for-pound guy. And I like Stephen Fulton Jr. a lot. Extremely skilled boxer. Figueroa was right there with him. All right, but will that translate to 126? Magsayo is a good opponent in that I understand he lost the fight to Ray Vargas. I understand he beat Gary Russell Jr. when Gary Russell Jr. only had one hand. I get all that. But he's also a guy who is tricky. He's awkward. He's stocky. He's not going to be a guy you're going to push back. He's going to want to be on his front foot too. This is not just an easy fight for Figueroa. He's a 3-1 favorite. Magsayo is going to be right there with him. And it's going to be bombs away in this fight. It is going to be bombs away in this fight.
Bombs away. They're going to be dropping bombs. Now, look. I'm a fan of the Heartbreak Kid. You know what I mean? That's what I call him. But he reminds me of his brother Omar. Only he's got a better left hook. He could hurt you with that left hook. But he has that same style, which it's not that hard to figure out once you kind of get used to it, And I have this feeling like maybe that Neri win and his performance with Fulton is making people believe that he's going to be able to do that in higher weight classes. And like you said, he's stepping up in weight class, which means the average dimensions of fighters have now changed. The opponents you're facing, even if their dimensions aren't bigger, they're used to fighting guys with bigger dimensions, right? They're used to that. They're used to a certain power scale of punches coming their way. So is he going to overwhelm Magsayo? Because if he can't overwhelm Magsayo, bro, it's going to be a long night. Like, and for us, it'll be a great fight. Like that's the thing. I still think Figueroa wins regardless. I think either he dominates Magsayo, right? That stops him in the middle rounds, in my opinion. That's one option. Or if he cannot overwhelm Magsayo, this is going to be a grueling fight that goes the distance, where the activity of Figueroa, wins the day. And by the way, I still think Figueroa beat Fulton in their fight. I'm just putting that out there. I think it was a really close fight, but I think he won that fight.
But I think that's the intriguing thing about this fight is it's going to give us sort of for the first time an idea of where he fits in this deep division. I mean, you talked about Dogbay, Conlon, Robise, Kiko, Josh Warrington, Lee Wood, just to name a few. And then you get to the top, Magsayo's there, Ray Vargas, who I think he's going to be dropping back down, and Mauricio Lara, who's the cream of the crop in this division. Where does Figueroa fit? And that's where we're going to start to get answers. Is he a guy who could possibly be the guy in the division?
I mean, look, he was killing himself to make 122, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but he would make it. Imagine when he rehydrated, right?
Yeah.
So now he's not going to have to kill himself to make weight. Probably still a struggle. Not too bad, right? But it's a double-edged sword. So the positive is he's not killing himself to make weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's having less of a weight camp, and he can concentrate more on, having a training camp. But the negative is now you're not going to outweigh your opponents by as much. And Magsayo's not like he rehydrates too. He's a big dude. So we're going to find out right away. Like Neri's the guy that moved up from 118. You know what I mean? So like Fulton's not a very big guy. Like now you're facing a natural 126 pounder who is a big 126 pounder. That's going to be the intriguing part. And sometimes stylistically, when guys are used to being the bully in there, they're not as effective. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't want to compare him to Chavez Jr. because I think he's a better fighter than Chavez Jr. But Chavez Jr. had that problem when he couldn't be the big bully. He was not effective as a fighter. He just wasn't. You know what I mean? Like Fonfora kind of laughed at him almost and just dropped him. Like it was like whatever. Silva beat him, a UFC fighter, because he couldn't overpower him. Like that's the thing. Like he was a dude that needed the size to big guys, right? Now I'm not saying Figueroa's there exactly, but there's an element of it that could play a factor. But glad you reminded me about that fight. I almost forgot about it. But somehow I thought we talked about it. But I'm looking forward to the fight. I have whether it's a tough fight. That's what I'm leaning at. Like it's either going to be a tough fight with that Figueroa wins, or he's going to just blow him out. But I think the first is going to happen. I think it's going to be a tough fight, and I think Figueroa wins most of the rounds. That's how I see it.
Yep, I think it's going to be a tougher fight than people think. Magsayo is going to put up more resistance than people think, and Figueroa is going to win by decision because Magsayo is a tough fighter, and he's going to go the distance. But it's going to be a war, I'm telling you.
Shout out to G-Ball. If you just came in, you could go back, watch the rest of the show, guys. And all that. This is D-Style Boxing. Check out the roundtable tomorrow on Ringside Reporter and all that good stuff. We're out. Peace.